Today our topic is, what is the meaning of life? Different philosophical perspectives. The meaning of life is a question that has been asked for thousands of years. It is one of the biggest and most important questions we can think about. People from different cultures, religions, and philosophies have tried to answer this question in their own ways. Some say life has a specific purpose, while others believe it is up to us to create our own meaning. Let's explore some of these ideas and see what they can teach us about how to live a meaningful life. One of the oldest ideas about the meaning of life comes from religion. Many religions teach that life has a purpose given by a higher power, like God or the universe. For example, in Christianity, the meaning of life is often connected to loving God, following His teachings, and preparing for eternal life after death. In Hinduism, life is seen as part of a cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, and the goal is to achieve spiritual liberation, or moksha, by living a righteous life. In Islam, the purpose of life is to worship Allah and live according to His will. These religious perspectives suggest that life's meaning comes from something greater than ourselves, and our job is to align our lives with this higher purpose. But not everyone believes in a religious or divine purpose. Some people think that life's meaning is something we create for ourselves. This idea is often connected to Existentialism, a philosophy that became popular in the 19th and 20th centuries. Existentialists like Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus believe that life has no inherent meaning. Instead, we are free to choose our own path and give our lives meaning through our actions, choices, and relationships. Sartre famously said, "Existence precedes essence, which means we exist first, and then we define who we are through our decisions." This can be both liberating and scary because it puts the responsibility for finding meaning entirely on us. But it also means that we have the power to shape our lives in any way we want. Another perspective comes from Stoicism, an ancient Greek philosophy that teaches us to focus on what we can control and accept what we cannot. Stoics like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius believe that the meaning of life is not about achieving fame, wealth, or success, but about living with virtue, wisdom, and inner peace. They taught that external events are beyond our control, but our reactions to them are not. By practicing self-discipline, resilience, and mindfulness, we can find contentment and meaning regardless of our circumstances. Stoicism reminds us that life is unpredictable and often unfair, but we can still choose to live with dignity and purpose. Utilitarianism, a philosophy developed by thinkers like Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill, offers a different approach. Utilitarians believe that the meaning of life is to maximize happiness and reduce suffering for as many people as possible. According to this view, our actions should be guided by what creates the greatest good for the greatest number. This means that a meaningful life is one where we contribute to the well-being of others, whether through kindness, charity, or working to improve society. Utilitarianism encourages us to think beyond ourselves and consider how our choices affect the world around us. Buddhism, which originated in India over 2,500 years ago, also provides a unique perspective on the meaning of life. Buddhists believe that life is full of suffering, but this suffering comes from our desires and attachments. The goal of life, according to Buddhism, is to achieve enlightenment, a state of inner peace and freedom from suffering. This is done by following the Eightfold Path, which includes practices like meditation, ethical living, and developing wisdom. Buddhism teaches that the meaning of life is not about acquiring material things or seeking pleasure, but about understanding the nature of reality and finding inner tranquility. In contrast, some modern philosophies like Nihilism argue that life has no meaning at all. Nihilists believe that there is no inherent purpose or value to existence, and that any meaning we assign to life is ultimately meaningless. While this might sound depressing, some people find freedom in this idea. If life has no predetermined meaning, then we are free to live however we want, without worrying about fulfilling some grand purpose. However, others find nihilism difficult to accept because it can lead to feelings of emptiness or despair. Another interesting perspective comes from humanism, a philosophy that emphasizes the value and potential of human beings. Humanists believe that the meaning of life is to seek happiness, fulfillment, and personal growth. They focus on human reason, ethics, and compassion, rather than relying on religious or supernatural explanations. Humanists encourage us to take responsibility for our own lives and to work towards creating a better world for everyone. They believe that by using our talents, helping others, and striving for knowledge, we can find meaning and purpose in our lives. Finally, let's consider the idea of legacy. Some people believe that the meaning of life is to leave a lasting impact on the world. This could mean creating something that outlives us, like a piece of art, a scientific discovery, or a successful business. It could also mean making a difference in the lives of others, such as raising a family, mentoring someone, or contributing to a cause we care about. The idea of legacy reminds us that our lives are connected to something bigger than ourselves, and that our actions can have ripple effects long after we are gone. So what can we learn from all these different perspectives? First, there is no single answer to the question of life's meaning. Each person must find their own path and decide what matters most to them. Second, many of these philosophies emphasize the importance of living with intention, whether that means aligning with a higher power, creating our own purpose, or helping others. Third, they remind us that meaning often comes from connection to others, to the world, or to something greater than ourselves. In the end, the meaning of life may not be something we can fully understand or define. It might be a combination of all these ideas, or something entirely different. What matters is that we keep asking the question, keep exploring, and keep striving to live in a way that feels meaningful to us. Life is a journey, and part of that journey is figuring out what it means to us. Whether we find meaning in religion, philosophy, relationships, or something else entirely, the search itself can be a source of inspiration and growth. So, take a moment to reflect on what gives your life meaning. What do you value? What do you want to achieve? How do you want to be remembered? These are the questions that can guide us toward a life of purpose and fulfillment.